Thanks for listening to this episode of the Missouri Musicians Then and Now podcast. Like us on Facebook and check out our YouTube channel where you can find clips and full-length previous episodes. Hello, welcome to the Missouri Musicians Then and Now podcast. I got another special phone interview episode today, and I got Alex from Tapeside here. What's up, Alex?
Hey, what's up?
I'm glad to hear from you, to have you call in, and I appreciate you reaching out on Facebook. And you guys got an interesting thing going on, so tell me about the band.
Yeah, so our band consists of 3 people, and we're kind of just doing it. I've been having ideas for years and years of making a band, and then someone came along and was like, well, let's actually do it. So technically we were, I guess you can say, an acoustic blues band, and then that didn't go well, and then it was kind of just up to me to carry on the name of this band. And a lot of the ideas were kind of like, I don't know, kind of one-man banding it, which is pretty much what I did. Like for a few shows that I did with Tapeside at first, and then a few of the first recordings were kind of just raw one-man band styling it. Like I wasn't technical, or like I didn't have any, I guess you could say, drum samples or anything like that. I just had a wah pedal and just a whole bunch of effects pedals to make all these noises to sound like a full band. And it started out good, and then I was like, well, I kind of need to branch out. Like, I'm getting bored of doing this, like a lot to do at once. And finally I found a couple of guys that have the same mindset, and we've been kind of branching out. We've been writing a lot of music together, mainly live. I hate to be that guy, but I usually write all the music and kind of get the ideas going, and then I present it to my band members, and if they like it, they like it. If they don't, we'll talk about it and change it up. I guess you'd say we're a very fluid band.
That's awesome. Where are you guys from?
We're from Sedalia, Missouri. It's a nice little town. I guess you say it's right in between. I always say it's right in between Kansas City and Columbia. It's a population of like 21,000, somewhere in that range. Nice little town.
Who's all in the band?
So we've kind of gone through a few change-ups. Mainly me and our drummer Miles have been pretty much in the band since day one. I actually found Miles through Facebook. I just saw he was free one day, and I just messaged him like, hey man, like I got this band going, I got all these ideas, I have all these demos, like if you want to jam, we can. And then one day he just hit me back up. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And then we just started jamming from there. We've had, I don't know, 5 different bassists at this point.
Oh, wow.
Every single bassist that we've had, it seems to be like they kind of change our groove in a better way.
That's cool. Like it makes sense because your influences are like psychedelic rock and Pink Floyd and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, my influences personally are kind of everywhere and anywhere. You got a mix of, like, one of my big influences is Black Flag.
Oh.
And then Pink Floyd, Grateful Dead, Tame Impala, little hints of early Nirvana in there.
So you're into like the jam band kind of stuff, right?
Jam band, straightforward bands. Like I'm also into like sludge metal, doom metal, stoner metal, psychedelic as well, noise, freeform noise. Like I'm kind of everywhere on the spectrum.
That's cool. I think that translates into your stuff, because from what I've heard, I heard a lot of everything that you just described, like in your music.
Yeah, I usually, when I write music, I try to be as fluid as possible. a lot of the songs kind of sound similar to the last one you just heard, and it also stems from being kind of wanting to push the jam band style, because a lot of the jam bands, they'll make songs that sound the same. That way they can play them fluidly throughout a show.
That makes sense.
And then I got like, when we also play live, we got kind of like a really heavy fuzzy psych sound, and that's from like my punk influences, that's from my grunge influences as a kid, and my psychedelic influences overall.
Is anybody else in this area doing anything like that?
From what I hear from a lot of locals, no. I keep getting told that there's no one out here that plays this type of music. It kind of gets to me. I'm like, why not? Like, this is some fun music. Like, I have a blast playing this music, and I put a lot of love and care. And it's really fun, and you can get really spaced out on it. Let yourself soak into our music.
That's pretty cool that you guys are unique to the area then, because I was in a cover band and we took a long break, and then another cover band was born, I guess you could say, and we had very similar set lists, and I was kind of bummed. Like when we started things up again, I'm like, well, we're playing the same stuff.
Yeah, there's not that many bands out here that do the things we do, specifically in our area. Sedalia is really known for cover bands, like blues bands, metal, and I believe like acoustic, but that's about it. There's really not much genre, I guess, like different genres happening. There's about like 3 or 4, and it's usually always been like that from what I know.
What kind of covers do you guys play?
Oh, we we don't have any covers, actually. We're all an original band.
That's awesome. I kind of had a feeling, because like you were talking about the writing process and stuff, and I'm just like, I wonder if they play covers with all those influences and stuff. So you're a live band playing all originals in this genre.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Well, thank you. It gets difficult with every process, because I think we're on 1, 2, 3. I think we're like on album 4 or 5 right now, and we kind of cover different genres. Actually, we still mix it within our own psychedelic rock genre, but we kind of grab from different areas. My first actual album was with a split EP with a band called The Sounds of Many, and they're up from Manhattan, Kansas, and we did a split EP. It was my first actual album, like writing it on my own, recording it on my own, and it's not the best sounding album, but it's kind of a blueprint from where we go, because my split side is like stoner rock, stoner metal, psychedelic in there, and then our second album, Still Trip, I kind of focused more on that one. I did a lot of understanding recording, understanding like how to record, understanding more of I guess you could say writing styles. I kind of developed myself a little bit more into that album, and that album I'm really proud of. And I wanted to do a full album, but we ended up writing a B-side. It was just 1 or 2 songs that we had extras, and then I think we just threw in a few remixes from our the original album. So we have a few originals in the B-sides, and I think like 1 or 2 that are kind of like alt takes that we just threw in there for funds. But I can see I guess you can say throughout the months, I wouldn't say years because we've only been a band for 3 years, but throughout the months I've been seeing we've been developing different styles of psychedelic. We're not just psychedelic because we have so many different influences.
That's good. That's good that you're like growing with every album and you're learning. So you're kind of a veteran now to all this.
Yeah, and that's kind of my idea of going into making this band. I wanted to kind of take different genres together and morph them into my own style. And I see with the Still Trip and Still Trip B-sides, that's pure psychedelic pop. And then I'm released my last album, Turns Bright, and that's kind of, I call it my country album. It's all I can really call it. It has a lot of acoustic writing on it, acoustic songwriting. I branched out a little bit more into throwing more lyrics out there, and it has, for me, it has more Cotton Jones vibes. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's a phenomenal artist, and he's been a big part of my life since I was in college. And I kind of took a little bit of his influences and some of my influences that I have here in my native town. Like I was speaking earlier, we have a lot of country artists and acoustic artists here in Sedalia and in the surrounding towns, and a lot of them hit and miss for me, but a lot of them stick with me just because they're also unique and different in their own way. And I kind of took influences from them. And a few of them I name off, like Jake Reno, Clay Clear. Those two have been really my biggest influences for writing this country album.
So you're a few albums deep, you said. Where can people find those?
You can find it on Spotify, YouTube, Bandcamp, Facebook, kind of just everywhere. I usually tell people to find our music on YouTube because that's where it's the most accessible. I'm still trying to organize our music. It's kind of everywhere. We have a few things on Bandcamp, a few things on Spotify. So I usually tell people to check out our YouTube. Not just that, but we also have music videos, and you can find our full albums, so you can play them and there's no ads in between, so it's just a full, like, you can hear the whole album fluidly.
That's awesome. Just how it was written, right?
Yeah.
Where are you playing these days?
Recently we've been playing out of town. Been trying to play out of town a little bit more due to, we've realized that there's more people that are interested in our music out of town than in our own town. In our own town, we usually get invited to play shows, or if it's just like a local benefit, we'll play it.
Isn't that something? You'd think we'd all have like home field advantage.
Right?
I don't know what's up with that. So what kind of gigs you got lined up?
Gigs that we got going on, I believe on the 20th we'll be actually playing here in our town of Sedalia. It's going to be like a nice mixed bill of metal, punk, alternative, and psychedelic as well. I think we'll be playing at the Moose Lodge, I want to say on the 20th, which will be on a Friday.
Awesome. I want to know your experience with the local music scene. In the Sedalia area and the other towns that you play in, like, what is your experience and your opinion of the state of the music scene?
So, funny that you mentioned that. There's mainly a lot of cover bands around here, which is understandable. We have a lot of bars, so a lot of bars, you kind of have to either, like, request over and over, like, hey, we want to put a show here. We want to put a show here. And some of them were like, can you do covers? A lot of the bands here don't do covers, like original bands. So a lot of the original bands have been going outwards. We've been branching out, and we do a few shows here all together, but it's, from what I see, it's becoming more vacant. A lot of the bands here are playing out in Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis, Columbia, anywhere else you can think of, which is, from what a few of us have talked about, is it's just fan base. We're seeing where the fans are. We're seeing who actually, like, not necessarily cares, but we can see who has more interest in our genres of music. Like, we have two metal bands, and they kind of flip flop. The Fourth Kind and Redeemer. They both play underground metal, and they both are kind of tied with each other. They both go out to Kansas City. I believe they've both have gone out some other cities as well. And we're the same exact way. We go to Kansas City. We've been down to Springfield, and we can see there's more interest because of the populations. They're bigger, they're more diverse. So there's definitely going to be more people that are interested in music out there versus in a populated city of like, I'd say like 21,000.
I see. I was gonna ask you where do the original musicians go? Where do the bands go? Like, is everybody on the internet, or are they all just going to the big cities like you said?
Oh, we're here. We're just all going to the big cities. Like I was saying, we see where a lot of the interest is for a lot of our music here in Sedalia. So a lot of us have been branching out. Even the acoustic artists, I've been seeing they've been going to Jeff City, playing little pubs there. They've been going to like Kansas to play bars there. And I don't know what it is with this town, but everyone seems to be going everywhere else except in this town.
That just seems so backwards to me. Like, and original artists, um, they don't make a lot of money. Like neither do cover artists, honestly. But like, if someone's trying to make a living doing this kind of thing, and they have to travel, to Kansas City and to Kansas and stuff like that, like, there's no money to be made.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Very aware that there's not that much money to be made, but it's at this point a lot of the bands in this town, and from I've seen from different scenes, even in the big scenes, like Kansas City has a big indie scene. Springfield has like a big country bluegrass scene. From what I see, they're just doing it to do it. They do it for fun. They don't really care too much of they make $100 in a night. They're just glad to play in front of people that actually have interest in their music. And we're the same way. Like, I have quite a bit of merch, and I spent a lot of money on our equipment and just merch in general. And I honestly don't charge half the people that take our merch. I just give it to them for free because it's not about really making money. It's about, like, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. And if others enjoy it, play for them. If you get $5 out of it, that's cool. If you get no dollars out of it, that's cool as well. We're just lucky. We're just happy to be playing for people that are into our music.
You're speaking like a true artist, my friend.
And most of the bands here in Sedalia, especially the metal bands, we're kind of just all in the same boat. We don't play your like top 10 type of music or anything like that. We all write music that we love, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's okay. But we all play what we like. We don't try to copy off each other in any way.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Buzzsprout. Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you, and it gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and it helps support our show. Starting a podcast can be intimidating. With Buzzsprout, it was easier than I thought to get started. They've been very helpful with their guides and their consistent email communication, and having the tools at hand to make sure the podcast is easy to list on all major platforms has been incredibly helpful. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform. You'll get a great-looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and more. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. I'm talking to Alex from Tapeside, and you were talking about having some stuff on the internet, and the original artists, if they have stuff on the internet, there's all these analytics and stuff now, and you were talking about how like you could see where the interest is. So if you put stuff on the internet and you have, I'm not real informed on like YouTube's analytics or anything like that, but if you can tell where all your views are coming from, like that's where your audience is and that's where your interest is. So naturally, that's where you're gonna want to go gig, right?
Yeah. Now we're in the 21st century where it's kind of not. What is it? It's easily accessible. You can easily promote your music and it's not by word of mouth anymore. It's all like fast. Like I can literally search up a band in not even 5 seconds and find out where they're playing, what their new events are happening, and yeah, it's a lot faster to find new music and new bands that are out and about. And same with us. I kind of rely a little too much on technology, a little bit too much. But with that said, I also am humble that we have technology, because right now we have a few people in Australia that are really interested in us and they really want us to play down there, but it's kind of expensive, so I don't have the uh, the money to go down there and play for them.
Wouldn't that be nice? So you were talking about, technology and stuff. Like, you guys are doing it the old-fashioned way with a nice mix of technology, like in how you promote and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and on that note, with our recording gear too, it's let's just say it's a little lacklustering. I wish I had the money to actually afford like a nice studio with a 12 channel mixer and processors and all that, but times are tough. Even though we've been a band for 3 years, times are tough. Can't always go buy equipment, so I kind of DIY my equipment, and I'm not saying how I'm recording my music, because that's kind of a secret, and there's a few people that know the secret, and hope they don't tell anybody. But there's a secret to how I record my music, and it's very DIY, but we make it happen, and it works.
Alex, I'll make you feel better about that. Years ago, it was like 2006-ish. Our band practice was recording by hooking a microphone up to a radio and recording to a cassette. We would just stick a mic on a mic stand in the middle of the room and record onto a tape. I actually ripped some stuff off of our old practice tape and put it on the computer earlier today, and it was pretty wild. Like, that was a big deal to us. Like, before we recorded, we're like, oh my gosh, we're recording, everybody play right and stuff. And now it's like you can literally just sit at home if you have the right equipment and write, record, mix, post, promote. You can do everything like in your own home without leaving.
Yeah, and our band, we're actually pretty relatable to you. We don't use a cassette, but for our practices and rehearsals, we literally just throw down a phone in the room. We put it somewhere that we know is the best sound quality, and then we kind of adjust our volume levels, and we go from there. We don't use any special production stuff or anything like that. No microphones. It's just all phone, and actually, it comes out pretty nice for being phone quality, and for the age that we're in right now, it's actually pretty good quality. And on that note, I believe I'm going to be releasing a compilation of our rehearsals, because what we do in the studio is completely different than what we do live. Live, you get more of a, not just with the recording, but when we play actually like about, we have more of a raw sound. When I record, it sounds like a band of 5 people, but when we play live, I kind of have to strip all of that back and kind of make it more raw, tongue-in-cheek, and turn it into a 3-piece live. And so I kind of have to, like, when I record, I have to be cautious of what I do, because I don't want to kind of give that first opinion to people like, oh my God, they sound like 5 people, but then you go listen to it live and you're like, they're missing so much. So I don't want to give like false advertising when we play live. And then, like I said, whenever we record live, it's all raw, and I'm really excited to release this compilation album. I believe it'll be released in the middle of the month of May, and it's just pretty much raw recorded sounds from our rehearsal space, practice space, whatever you want to call it. And then I did a few post productions as far as cleaning up the bass a bit, cleaning up the highs and lows, just cleaning it up overall to make it where it sounds like we're in the 70s, but we're actually in the 21st century. I listened to all of the tracks. I'm like, this is pretty raw recording, but in the best possible way.
That's respectable, man. That's good that you're aware of the dangers of overproducing and, you know, having like 3 guitar tracks when your live show is 1, and I think a lot of people can really take notice of that. A live trio playing psychedelic rock.
It's pretty groovy. It's whatever you want it. I don't really know how to define our sound, because if you ever listen to us live, it's kind of a mix of a few different genres. I get a lot of stoner rock, punk rock influences. Also, I get a lot of psychedelic atmospheric rock. So how I describe Tapeside in a whole is if you mixed Greg Ginn of Black Flag with Josh Homme of Caius, and then mix that with some groovy sections of Pink Floyd and a little bit of jam band influences from the Grateful Dead, kind of mix that all up in a blender, and just that's kind of our band, because it's hard to really put us together on what we sound like, because I'm not a conventional singer at all. I don't know how to sing, I'll be honest with you. I learned how to sing about two years ago, hardly 3. So whenever we first made the band, I just did instrumentals. Even when I played live, I just did instrumental one-man band stuff. But through the process of this band, and how the more we keep pushing the envelope, the more different styles of singing I've been doing. When I first branched out, I have a lot of punk rock influences, so I was just yelling into a microphone, not knowing what to do, what to sing. And then I actually took a few classes on how to like sing without blowing out your voice and all that stuff. And I still have problems doing that, as we're not all perfect in any way. And I realized my style of singing, which is kind of, I guess, a little bit of Alcineros from Sleep. I guess it's kind of like a chant-like yell, and throw in some reverb in there, and that's my vocals. You get like a chant-like yell. And I've been kind of branching out from that with this country album that I released in December, Turns Bright. It has a little bit more of style in there. You can see I'm branching out with the vocals. I'm branching out with the vocal structures compared to some of the other stuff that I did on some other albums, where it's just kind of just yelling and just kind of letting the words drone out a bit.
I think a lot of people really dig the feeling of a lot of music and a lot of singing. Like it's not always about technical skill and talent and stuff like that. Like you can do that kind of stuff that you described, like and serve the song well, and it just works. So it sounds like there's something for everybody with Tapeside, with what you guys do. And I encourage people to check it out, man. And you guys need to come to the Lake of the Ozarks area so I can experience it for myself, because that would definitely be broadening my horizons to check you guys out.
Yeah, we're kind of everywhere and anywhere. Like our live stuff is, like I said, it's a bit more tongue-in-cheek, more raw compared to our recordings. And even when we play live, we have different genres for everybody. We have a few funky songs that you can just dance to for minutes, and then we can switch to like a straight up psychedelic in your face fuzz tone, and then next song is gonna just be completely like heart wrenching. It's like, oh my god, like this is who they are, like, oh my god, this is fantastic. So we kind of have everything for everybody. We play heavy stuff, we play soft stuff, funky stuff. is just something that for everybody and anybody.
Where did the name Tapeside come from?
Ooh, so that was kind of just on a whim. One of the first people that I wanted to start this band with, he was like, yeah, we just call ourselves Tapeside. I'm like, okay. Like, I just went with it, and he's kind of did his own thing, and I just kept the name going. I really wanted to change it when I actually wanted to pursue this band on my own. I was like, you know what? It's getting rough to figure out different names for bands now, because you don't want to share a name with another band, or you don't want to, like, you know, share the same name with someone else in the same town or anything. So I just stuck with it.
I want to know about the best gig you played and the worst gig you played.
Oh.
You don't have to say like specific places or names of venues if you want to. That's fine.
Oh, the best gig I've had. Oh man, I'd say best gig I've had so far is when we went to Springfield for a festival, and I didn't think that many people would show up. And at first, when we were setting stuff up, it looked dead in the bar. I was like, oh, there's maybe 5 people. I'm like, whatever, it's a festival, we're playing, whatever. It's going to be a fun time. And then probably 3 or 4 songs in, we can see the bar was starting to get more packed and more packed. And by the time we ended our set, it was pretty much full at that point. And I looked around, I'm like, oh man, we have a diverse crowd. There's like elderly people here, there's young people, there's middle age, like there's a mix of everybody.
There's no better feeling.
It was a great feeling, because I'm like, this music connects not to just my generation but to other generations as well, and that's a really good feeling. As far as the worst gig I've had, I haven't had really any worst gigs. Nothing really bad. I guess you could say we played here in our hometown at Puzzle Piece of Smoke Shop. It was our second time playing out there, and it wasn't really bad. It was just I got into playing, like I guess you can say I was really into playing the solo, and I didn't see behind me that my effects cable, the power jack was right behind my foot, and I stepped back on the input jack and I broke it, so that turned all my effects off, which is connected to my amp. And then so pretty much you weren't hearing me at all, and I tried not freaking out. I tried as hard as I could. I was like, oh man, we're literally in the middle of a song, we've been going at it, and now I just cut it. But I'm so lucky that our bassist at the time and Miles, they just kept jamming, and I looked back at them and I could see they knew what happened. They were carrying on the song till I got my situation fixed up. So I tried bending the input back in. It was a little bit too bent, and I just plugged directly straight into the amp. I turned up the volume quite a bit and played strictly through the amp, and it had a different sound since I don't use that many pedals, but when you play straight through an amp versus using a few pedals, it's a totally different tonal change, I guess you can say, tonal change. And so I did that, and it was actually pretty impressive, and I tried holding myself together for the rest of the song.
Man, true professionals. Your boys helped you pull through on that one. I'm over here like, oh, I broke a string one time in the middle of a song. Like, it could get way worse than that. Alex, I'm going to put you on the spot, man, before we wrap things up here. If there's somebody listening to this and they've never heard of Tapeside until now, tell them why they should come see you guys or they should support you.
Oh, we're a very unique band. You'll never hear anybody like us around the Missouri area. Our sound is very unique. It is fluid. And if you come listen to us one time, listen to us again, you'll get a completely different sound. Our sound is always changing live. and it's the best thing. It's the same sound, it's just the structure is kind of different. We kind of like to change up the song, so you pretty much get a new song every time you come see us.
That's awesome, man. Alex, drop your gigs again one more time before we sign off.
Yeah, so we got a gig, I believe, the 20th of May, the Moose Lodge here in Sedalia. As far as time, I'm not 100% sure. I believe there's a poster somewhere on Facebook, and I'll be promoting it as well. And then I believe in June, we'll be hitting Manhattan, Kansas with one of our friends, The Sounds of Many. They're phenomenal garage 70s psychedelic rock band. They're really fun to play with. They have a lot of energy. We'll be playing with them and another band out in Manhattan from where they're from. And I'm really stoked for that show because we've never played out in Manhattan. I've been there myself, never played there, so I'm excited. And then as far as media-wise, you can find our stuff out on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple, just pretty much everywhere. Just go to Google, type in Tapeside Band, you'll find us. Like I said earlier, YouTube is the best way, more accessible. You can see our music videos, you can see our full non-stop albums. So just check us out.
Good stuff, man. Thanks a lot, Alex, for being on, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, man.
Take care.